Good afternoon, everyone. Guys, welcome to the United States of Soviet Britain, where writing things online gets you sent into prison, but attacking police officers and breaking their nose, you don't even get arrested or investigated. So that's my opinion, that's my speculation, guys. I don't want to get sent in jail for thought crimes. Anyway, guys, so what we're going to talk about today? Well, I'm going to touch on the Taylor Swift incident, non-incident again. I think that was going to be planned for today, and I think that was going to be, the big incident that we was talking about. I'm also going to talk about these show trials that are on in the United Kingdom at the moment. So for those of you who don't know, it's like living in George Orwell's... Guys, listen, if you live outside the UK and you don't know what I'm talking about, in the United Kingdom at the moment, every couple of days, all TV transmissions are cut, and the news companies switch to these show trials, and basically it switches to TV sentencing of people who have committed crimes of thought, or maybe, well, not thought, guys. Obviously, no, that's factually incorrect. The crimes that these people are committing are, they are legitimate crimes, and I shouldn't play it down. What people are getting sent to prison for is correct. They should be getting sent to prison. Now, what people are worried about, except from I can't even comment on these posts that people have been sharing. I don't know enough about it. I don't know if it's credible. But from the outside, certainly from my friends in Texas, who've been literally trolling me all day, and it's been quite embarrassing. As far as the world's concerned, in the United Kingdom now, you get sent to prison if you if you share a Facebook message that somebody else doesn't agree with. Anyway. But in the United Kingdom, the Orwellian thing about this is every now and then on the TV, it's like you're fishing and you don't know when you're going to catch one. Every now and then, the news reporter will just say, "Breaking news, everyone! We're going to switch to the so-and-so court," and then you'll see some judge with his little blonde wig on or whatever it is, and he'll be sentencing someone. Now, I think swift justice is good, and I think the United Kingdom should have robust laws that are observed by everyone, policed and enforced. I speculate that around 90% of the United Kingdom are looking at this and saying, okay, he's feeling swift justice. What about the Dartford slasher? Will he feel justice? What about those two gentlemen who are still the police officers in Manchester Airport? Will they? I mean, it's been 2 weeks since that incident. Where's the swift justice? Because we know in the United Kingdom that there's no such thing as two-tier policing. We know that, as Keir Starmer said, because he's our leader, that we have policing without fear, policing without whatever else the politically correct line is. So that is the reality on the streets in the United Kingdom at the moment. And all Keir Starmer's pomp and his, it reminds me of, seeing as I mentioned my American friends trolling me, it reminds me of the things I've read from history when Britain was fighting the Americans. The British, for example, if you didn't know, the British were in rank and file. They were forming square, they were forming line, and they were doing really old tactics because their officers were too pompous to listen to their soldiers. The officers were saying, no, form rank, form line, form square. I tell you, form square, listen to me, I'm an officer, I'm in charge. And that's fine, okay? A lot of people lost their lives because of that. Whereas the Americans were fighting for their land. They understood the consequences. They were hiding in the bushes. They were doing guerrilla tactics. They were using snipers. They were taking people out. This was, the real beginning of actual tactical warfare. And the Brits got kicked out of America because of the pomp at the top. And this is what I'm seeing from, guys, this is my speculation, my opinion. This is what I'm seeing from the headship, the leadership, the political class in the United Kingdom. They're just not listening to us. They're not listening to what people are saying. Now, I'm going to tell you what my friend said, who lives in the United Kingdom. My friend, he's a real liberal guy. And he says, I was talking to him a couple of nights ago, and he was saying the thing that annoys him most is rather than the government deal with the problem why the people are protesting, they're dealing with the protesters and telling them it's wrong. Well, you know what, guys? Whose country is it? Is it ours, or is it the people who we elect to be in charge? It's that old question, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, my American friends are trolling me something like, I'm just getting message after message with trolls and on group chats and loads of stuff where they are really winding me up. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to go back to that. That's why the people are annoyed, and that's why the people are angry. And people are seeing this. They're seeing how quickly you get justice if you tweet something that's the wrong message. But if you attack a police officer, that's fine. Nothing happens. And people are seeing this. Ordinary people who would never, ever get off their settee and go out to a protest. Normal people they're watching this now, and they're understanding the state of the country, because all this has done is highlighted the problem for the whole world to see. And these people now in the United Kingdom, who would have never given this too much thought, they're starting to think and worry about their children, worry about the next generation, worry about this country. And guys, let's be under no illusion. If we work hard now as a country, and I mean this all with 100% sincerity, we've just found enough oil to make our country richer than Saudi Arabia. Twice as rich. And we're tearing ourselves apart. So what do we want? Do we want, I don't know, and I know a lot of people who are on these protests are unemployed. Do we want, I don't know how much it is, £50 a week or something, benefits for the next 10 years, then the country collapses and we're into anarchy? Or do we want to say, right, you know what, we need to sort this out. We need to get a good set of laws. We need to abide by them. We need to agree, and we need to agree that we're not always going to agree. And we're not going to destroy our own country. And then we can go be the richest country in the world. Because I kind of want that. I prefer that than being torn apart and having to leave. But anyway, guys, so more stuff's coming out all the time about this Taylor Swift concert. They and the potential attacks. Now she's had to cancel she's had to cancel things. These concerts. What people are noticing is the distinct targeting of a certain demographic, and that demographic is young girls. Young girls. The young girls are being targeted. Now look at the things that have happened in the last couple of days. So you've had. I'm not even going to mention the Manchester airport incident. I'm not even going to mention the soldier that's been, that was stabbed in front of his wife. I'm not going to mention the riots in, where were they? Was it West Yorkshire somewhere? Let's not worry about that. Let's go from the stabbing of the 3 girls, Guys, honestly, I struggle to even talk about this, I can't do it. Anyway, I can't talk about it. I've not done any videos about it, talking about it. I've just, mentioned what everybody. Well, I've just mentioned the minimum, so you don't see me collapse in a ball of my own tears. We then had protests. We then had counter protests. We've had this, this suspected attack on Taylor Swift, and after all that. We've got this counsellor, the Dartford slasher, come out and say what he said. I'll put links into the description. Can you imagine what goes through these people's heads? Why does he think, after all that's happened, 3 little girls, and he's saying we should. He's literally, guys, look what he's saying. I don't want to say things that might get me banned or might get me demonetized or anything, but. Think about what he's just said and the context in which he said it. And then, look at the crowd. Look at the crowd cheering when he says it. So does that mean that all these crowds of anti-counter protesters, does that mean they all have the same opinion? Because certainly from watching that video, it would appear so. Now, I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying that's what appears if you look at that video. Because it does, guys. You can't not look at that video and see them all cheer when he says that. And then they're shouting, free, free Palestine. What has that got to do with anti-immigration in the United Kingdom? I genuinely don't know. I don't. Where's the connection? Unless there's, again, there may be connections that I don't know, but that's the reality. That people are making these connections. I'm not making these connections. I'm not making any connections. I'm just asking questions. So that's the reality at the moment. How many more of these councillors do we have in our council who share that opinion? How many more people are on our streets that share that opinion? How many more of these attacks are waiting to happen? Guys, we are living in absolute terrible times. And then we've got Sadiq Khan coming out now on the TV saying he's scared for his own safety. Come on, Sadiq. It was only a couple of months ago when people were telling you that they were scared. You said it's all part and parcel of living in a big city. So what is it? Is it part and parcel, or do we need to do something about it? Because he's giving mixed feelings, isn't he, good old Sadiq? Anyway, guys, let me get on to the stories. Other stories. So earlier on, guys, I did a video about what's been happening in Ukraine, about how they've managed to push into the Kursk region. Well, as from reports now, they've managed to push 25 miles into this region, and they've ambushed a Russian convoy. Guys, this has huge implications, and I don't know whether anything's going to come of it or whether it's going to be a big hot cup of nothing. But that's the reality on the ground now. The Ukrainians are pushing and pushing further in, and the deeper the Ukrainians get into Russian territory, the easier movement will be, because people are just not expecting it. There'll be minimum defences around those areas, and when people do want to do a mounted defence, there'll be nothing there to defend because everybody's being pushed to the front. So that's what I think could happen, guys. I've not changed my mind from earlier on this morning, but earlier on when I talked about this video, I said they'd pushed 10 miles into Russia. It's now come out that they've now pushed 25 miles into Russia. And not forget, while there's that gap open, the Ukrainians can push more and more soldiers through and really fortify that location. The Russians have set up they've declared a national emergency. Now, what we said earlier, guys, and it's still the same, nothing's changed. The Russians' nuclear doctrine is that if somebody encroaches and it's an existential threat on Russia, on the Russian culture, on the Russian mainland, then that will give them the rights to use nuclear weapons. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Will it happen? Again, I don't know. Could it happen? Probably. Anyway, so in other news, the Israel and Iran. I'll read it from here, guys, and I'll tell you what I think it means. Iran keeps region guessing as it mulls revenge attack, and this is why they have to do an attack. In the Saudi city of Jeddah on Wednesday, the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, a group of 57 countries, held an emergency meeting at Iran's request to discuss, among other things, the assassination of the Hamas leader. The gathering was an opportunity for Iran, whose supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has vowed harsh punishment for the killing, to lay out the reasons for an expected retaliation. So there it is, guys. When you understand, and if you've worked in these countries, you know these strong leaders, if they say something and if they if they go with these wild claims and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, they have to do it. Otherwise, they will lose face domestically. People will start questioning their strength, questioning their authority, and then that leaves them weak, that leaves them open, and then, somebody else could move in and, overthrow them. So when people like this come out and say, wait, what did he say? Harsh punishment, it means that they're going to do something that's perceived as harsh punishment. So that's the reality on the ground at the moment, guys. We've got the Ukrainians playing chicken with a nuclear war, and again, the Ukrainians can do whatever they want. They're in a war that they didn't start, so nobody should say to them, "Oh, don't do that. It might be too much of an escalation." No, the escalation was when Russia attacked. Anything that Ukraine does now in response, as far as Putin can't complain, Putin can't go to somebody and say, oh, the Ukrainians have come into my land and annexed the town and now they've made them have a vote and I don't, the vote's not legal. No, Vladimir, all right? They're playing you at your own game. And then we've got the trouble in the Middle East. All the regions in the Middle East at the moment, they are so, it is just a tinderbox and one little spark and that whole thing is going up, guys, all right? I think it's going to, I said before, I think there's going to be something, really big happening this weekend. I think it was foiled in the context of it was this, the potential incident at the Taylor Swift concert. But guys, let's get to Monday until we break out the champagne. Guys, that is it. Just some thoughts on the day. And I know the first bit of this video was a little bit of a rant, but honestly, I can't believe the show trials that we're seeing in the United Kingdom. It really is like watching something, like living through something from a George Orwell book. They just come on the news reporters just switch to breaking news, and you've got some judge sentencing someone. And let's not forget, guys, all right, we know how long the people who abuse the girls, we know how long they get in jail. We know that there's a lot of very lenient sentencing with those guys. And it seems that the guys who are doing some, guys, I'm not going to go on about that. I'm going to stay on point. I'm going to stick with world news and main things, and I'm going to be didactically perfect. Guys, that's it. I'm going to mag to grid. I'll try and get you guys another video later on tonight if there's been any further developments.